Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be tackling a huge question that I get asked over and over again, and that is, what's the best Sony camera gear you can buy if you want to get into shooting weddings? Now let's get straight to it, because there's no two ways about it. Photography is expensive, especially if you want to get into shooting weddings. You're not going to be just buying a camera and a lens. You're going to need backups, flashes, batteries, memory cards, and believe me, the list goes on. But here's the exciting part. Wedding photography can be a really lucrative business if you do it right. One wedding can realistically pay off a massive chunk of your initial investment. So instead of thinking of your kit as just kit, I want you to think of it as an investment in yourself and your future. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what Sony kit I would buy with 4 different budget levels. The first one's going to be £1,000. Now let's keep it real. This is going to be a very basic budget starter kit. The next one's going to be up to £2,500. This is where you can start to make the step up into serious and more reliable gear. The third budget we're going to look at is £5,000. This is what I would class as a semi-pro setup with tons of flexibility. And lastly, we're going to go with the £7,500 budget. For this money, you're starting to move towards the ultimate pro Sony wedding photography kit. And unlike others I've seen, in this video, I'm not just going to be listing the gear. I'm going to explain to you why each body and lens earns a place in your bag. I'm also going to go through how I would use it so that it can help you shoot better weddings. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. On this channel, I share tips, gear breakdowns, behind the scenes footage, and basically everything that I wish that I knew when I was starting out as a wedding photographer. If you're serious about getting into the wedding photography industry, you're going to want to stick around. And finally, I've made you all a free downloadable help sheet. It's going to have all of the kit suggestions written down on it so that you don't have to pause the video or scribble notes as you go along. Just sit back, enjoy, check out the video description and download the sheet. Also, you're going to want to make sure that you stick around to the last section of the video, because in that section there's some tips and tricks that you're really not going to want to miss when it comes to selecting your wedding photography gear. Right, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the tightest budget of £1,000. I'm going to be honest here. £1,000 for a full wedding kit is going to be very tight. You won't be buying new gear here, and you certainly won't be walking into the Sony store and coming out with everything that you need to shoot a wedding. But the good news is, if you shop smart in the second-hand market, you can absolutely put together a setup that will get you started shooting real weddings. So my recommendation here, and the heart of this kit, is going to be the Sony a7 II. This camera is a few generations old now, but here's why it's still absolutely perfect for beginners. First off, it's a full frame mirrorless camera. You're not compromising on sensor size, which means you're going to have great performance in low light. This is absolutely crucial when shooting weddings, especially when you're in darker moody churches or dimly lit reception venues or first dances. Also, it's got 5-axis in-body stabilisation. This helps massively when handheld shooting, especially when you're in darker conditions and you're going to be pushing on those slower shutter speeds. And not only that, it's compact, lightweight, and perfect for learning the ropes. And here's the big one. You can actually find these used for around £400 to £500. That leaves you with nearly half of your budget to get yourself a lens or two. So with around £400 to £500 left for glass, here's what I'd go for. First off, I'm going to recommend the Sony 50mm FE 1.8. This is your absolute bread and butter wedding lens. It's perfect for portraits of the bride and groom, it handles low light brilliantly, and you can pick them up used for around £90 in the UK. It's absolutely incredible value. I've still got one in my camera bag to this day. Next up, I'd probably go for a zoom lens, and at this budget I would recommend the Tamron 28-70 f2.8-3. Bear in mind this is going to be the first generation of this lens, but this lens is an absolute game changer for budget Sony shooters. It will cover everything from the wide group shots to the tighter moments during the ceremony and the speeches. Not only that, it's got a constant aperture of f2.8, making it fast enough for most situations on a wedding day. And not only that, you can expect to pay as little as £400 to grab this lens on the used market. So that is a lens combination that gives you flexibility. A zoom for those unpredictable wedding day moments, and a prime lens for some stunning bride and groom portraits. Now, at your £1,000 budget, you're not going to have a ton of money left over, but there's a few accessories that are absolute must-haves. The first one of those is going to be extra batteries. The one downside to the A7 II is it does absolutely chew through its batteries. It takes the older FW50 batteries, and believe me, you're going to want to have at least 4 or 5 spares of these. And this one might be obvious, but you're going to need plenty of memory cards. I've always found it's better to have multiple of the smaller capacity memory cards rather than one large one. That way, if a card does happen to fail, which is rare, but it does happen, you only lose a few images and not the entire wedding day. If you can scrape together a little bit more for your budget, then I'd recommend going for a flash. Even a cheap manual flash will definitely save you when you're faced with a pitch black dance floor. So in summary, your £1,000 Sony starter kit might look something like this. A Sony A7 II as your camera body for around £400 to £500 on the used market. A Tamron 28-75 first generation f2.8 lens at around £400. A Sony 50mm FE 1.8 prime lens on the used market for around £90. And if you've got any spare budget, a cheap manual flash. Then that's you ready to shoot your first wedding. Now, I know it's not perfect. You don't have a backup camera and you don't have Sony's newest fast autofocus system. And yes, the battery life isn't amazing. But this setup will let you start building your portfolio. And most importantly, will start you getting paid. So now let's make that jump up to £2,500. This is where things start to get really exciting because you're not just scraping by. You can actually put together a kit that is reliable enough to shoot professional weddings. The star of this budget is the Sony A7 III. This camera has become an absolute legend in the wedding world, and for good reason. For starters, it has dual card slots, which means every single photo you take is instantly backed up. And in my opinion, this is a must-have on any camera body. And not only that, the face and the eye detection is absolutely superb and will make your job so much easier when capturing the fast-moving parts of the wedding day, such as the confetti walk or a bride walking towards you down the aisle. Also, believe me when I say, the low-light performance on this camera is absolutely outstanding. You'll be able to handle dark ceremonies and late-night receptions without even breaking a sweat. And what's more, the newer Z batteries last forever compared to the batteries in the Sony A7 II. And here's my favourite part. In today's market, you can pick up a used Sony A7 III for around £700 to £800. But here's the most important part for this budget. You're going to need a backup camera body. And for me, that's got to be another Sony A7 III. With the prices they are at the minute on the used market, it's an absolute no-brainer to pick up another body within this budget. So now moving on to lenses, and with roughly £1,000 left, here's what I'd pick. First up, I'm going back to the Tamron 28-75 2.8 lens, but this time I'm going for the G2 version. This is basically the updated version of the lens we looked at in the previous budget. It's sharper, lighter, and faster to focus than its predecessor, and still is only around £600 to buy on the second-hand market. Next up, I would grab the Sony FE 85mm 1.8. For me, this is one of the best value portrait lenses out there. This lens is perfect for capturing bridal portraits, groom shots, or even the ceremony if you want to get in nice and tight without the camera being stuck in the couple's face. And at only around £350 on the used market, this lens is a must-have, I think, for this budget. Now moving on to a few accessories I definitely try to grab at this budget. First up for me, and most important, would be a flash. My go-to flash is a Godox V1S, which is the Sony version of the flash. They're affordable, Sony compatible, and absolutely essential for dark wedding receptions. Then I'd be looking to grab myself a decent dual camera harness so that you're able to comfortably carry around 2 bodies and 2 lenses for a whole wedding day. And don't forget to grab yourself a fast memory card reader. Believe me, you're going to thank yourself when you sit down to edit a full 12-hour wedding day. So in summary, this is what your £2,500 kit is going to look like. 2 Sony a7 III's at around £800 each. The new Tamron 28-75 G2 zoom lens, which is going for around £600. And finally, a used Sony 85mm FE 1.8 lens, which is perfect for your portraits and available on the used market at around £300 to £350. Now that is a professional ready setup. You've got 2 bodies, a versatile zoom, a beautiful portrait prime, and enough reliability to shoot a whole wedding day without any worries. So now we're moving into the £5,000 territory. This is where things start to feel truly professional. At this level, you're going to be building a camera kit that can handle almost any wedding scenario with no problems at all. You're going to have fast lenses, excellent low light performance, backup bodies, and even have the ability to shoot off-camera flash if you want to. This is about the level where you stop compromising. So for my £5,000 budget, the main body that I'm going to go for is the Sony a7 IV. So why the Sony a7 IV? Well, it's a full frame mirrorless camera with a 33 megapixel sensor. This gives you a lot more resolution over the a7 III, which is perfect for when you need to crop into those images. It's got advanced autofocus with real-time eye detection for both animals and people. This is perfect for when there's some fast-moving wedding subjects, or even if somebody brings their dog along as a best man or a groomsman. It's got dual card slots and an extended battery life, so you've got no worries about missing those important moments. This really should be looked at as a long-term investment that's going to help your business to grow. You can expect to pay around £2,000 for a new Sony a7 IV, but you may be able to grab one a little bit less on the used market. Then for my backup body, I probably would still go for a used Sony a7 III. This just gives you peace of mind. Weddings really are a one-shot event. You're never going to want to be caught with just one camera body. So lenses at this level are what really can make your work shine. And here's what I'd go for. First up, I'd probably grab myself the Sony 24-70 f2.8. This is the king of wedding zooms. It's beautifully sharp and perfect for any group shots, portraits or candid images. You can expect to pay around £1,800 new, or why not look for a lightly used copy on the second-hand market. Next up, I'd be going for the Sony 85mm G Master lens, a premium portrait lens for dreamy bridal shots or groom shots. These you can pick up for around £1,000 new, or again, you can usually find them for around £850 if you go for a used copy. With this combination, you're covered from wide-angle group shots to tight artistic portraits with dreamy background blur. At the £5,000 level, I definitely also recommend investing in a couple of flashes. Like I said, I use the Godox V1s, but there is a newer Godox V100 version out now if you wanted to look into that one too. I would definitely grab yourself some extra batteries. I tend to go through around 5 to 7 batteries during a normal wedding day. And I would make sure that I've got at least 6 to 8 pairs of memory cards to ensure that everything gets captured. Also, now is the time to start thinking about camera bag ergonomics. At this level, you're going to be carrying 2 bodies, 2 lenses, some flashes, and all of your accessories. Get a bag that distributes the weight comfortably and evenly. Your back is going to thank you for it the day after. Finally, let's talk about the £7,500 budget. This is a true pro-level wedding photography kit. At this budget, you're not just thinking about a single wedding. You're thinking about a long-term, sustainable business with gear that won't hold you back. Everything here is designed for reliability, speed, and versatility. So my main camera body is obviously going to be the Sony a7 IV for all of the reasons that we mentioned in the previous section. My backup body here is probably going to be another Sony a7 IV or a lightly used a7R4 if you want higher resolution for weddings that are going to want big prints. At this level, you're not compromising. Both cameras are full frame, weather sealed and capable of shooting professionally all day, every day. So onto lenses, and here's the ultimate lens kit for me. I go for the Sony 24-70 f2.8 GM2 lens, which is absolutely perfect for wide and standard length shots. I'd probably pick up a 70-200 2.8 G Master lens, which has brilliant long reach and really good in low light. And I would definitely stick with my 85 1.4 G Master for those dreamy, blurry background portraits. This gives you full coverage, from wide group shots to ceremonies in tight spaces, all the way to those dreamy portraits at either 85mm or 200mm. Every lens in this setup will be classed as a pro grade lens. And at this level, you can also include yourself 2 flashes, the Godox V1s for me or the V100s, some wireless triggers so you can get into some off-camera flash, as many extra batteries as you can carry. I'd recommend 6 to 7 as a minimum, multiple high-speed UHS 2 memory cards, and a pro level camera bag for multiple bodies and multiple lenses. This kit is future proofed. You can shoot weddings for years with this level of gear and not worry about it limiting your creativity. So in summary, the £7,500 kit is as follows: 2 Sony a7 IVs as a main body and a backup, a Sony 24-70 G Master 2 lens, a Sony 70-200 G Master lens, and that all important 85mm 1.4 G Master lens for those portraits. Not forgetting your 2 flashes, your extra memory cards, your extra batteries, and the perfect camera bag to carry it around in. This kit will allow you to shoot weddings in any scenario. Low lights or bright lights, indoors or outdoors, in a small or a large venue. This kit's got you covered no matter what. So there you have it. 4 budgets, 4 Sony wedding photography kits. We started at £1,000, which was your basic kit to start you shooting weddings and get you building your portfolio. We then moved up to £2,500, a reliable professional kit with backup bodies and versatile lenses. We then jumped to £5,000, your semi-pro setup with premium lenses, backups and some flashes. And we finished off with the £7,500 kit, the ultimate pro level setup for the long term. Worry-free wedding coverage for years to come. So here's a few final tips that you're not going to want to miss. Firstly, I would always suggest to invest in lenses first. Lenses will last a lot longer than camera bodies, and a good quality lens will elevate your images a lot more than any camera body will. Number 2 is one of my favourites if you've been watching the channel for a while, and that is always have a backup. Your weddings won't wait for your gear to fail. They'll move on regardless. So you've got to be ready to capture it in any scenario. You need to think about batteries, cards and flashes. They're just as important as cameras and lenses, because without them you can't shoot that wedding. And my last tip, and probably the most important, is to reinvest in yourself. Start with a small kit and upgrade as you earn money from weddings, and don't stop until you get that dream wedding photography kit. And remember, if you want all of these recommendations in a handy downloadable PDF with links, prices and checkboxes, then remember to click the link in the description below. And of course, if you find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you don't miss any of my future wedding photography tip videos, gear breakdowns and behind the scenes footage. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one.